Well, we're married today because of Helix. I'm just going to say it right now. Because if you are cranky, that's just not good on your marriage. And if you don't get good sleep, I mean, this is a
We would
ticking
have been
time bomb.
divorced by now
It's
if
a
we were
ticking
working
time
with a different
bomb,
mattress.
And I'm just here to say, if you guys are just been at each other's throats and you don't have a Helix mattress, what's the harm in upgrading to the greatest mattress created by mankind? It's a Helix mattress. We've talked about it for a long time now. We sleep on a Helix mattress wherever we go, whether at the lake or at home. We have a Helix. We gift the Helix. We have it in all our guest bedrooms. Our guests rave about it.
They're literally recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine as go-to solution for improving your sleep.
They have a great lineup of 20 unique mattresses for all kinds of sleepers. Doesn't matter how you sleep, hot, cold, on your side, on your back, rolled up into a ball, whatever your preferences are, Helix has a mattress just for you. Just go to helixsleep.com, answer a few questions about your sleep preferences, and they will match one of their 20 unique mattresses that are perfect for you. And don't worry, if by some miracle you're not obsessed with it, you get a 100-night sleep trial, so you can try it for 100 nights and send it back for a full refund if you're not completely obsessed and in love with your Helix mattress. They also come with a 10 to 15-year warranty depending on the mattress that you choose.
So if you want to sleep good and you want to stay married, check out Helix Sleep for their Labor Day sale best of web offer. Go to helixsleep.com/VIALL for 27% off site-wide, exclusive for our listeners of the Viall Files. That's helixsleep.com/VIALL for 27% off site-wide. helixsleep.com/VIALL.
You're crazy.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
My name's Jessica. I am 32, and I keep getting attached to men who can't communicate.
Okay. Have you met men that can communicate that you're not attached to?
No, not really.
Okay. Why don't you just describe maybe the most recent or one that comes to mind, maybe that
Yeah.
prompted you to write in.
Yeah, so maybe a little background will be helpful. So haven't really dated much. I was in last serious relationship was my early 20s.
Okay.
And then after that, I got involved with someone I was working with. It was started very casual. Not the best situation, but I had some, family stuff going on, and it was really just a distraction. And throughout that, I was the one not communicating. Like, oh, I don't need to communicate. Like, if I don't talk about my problems, they're not there, and we don't need to acknowledge them, and everything will be fine. Definitely wasn't fine. Ended up pretty hurt through that situation. Took some time from that.
Why were you hurt? Like, what were you ignoring or not communicating?
Feelings, when feelings got involved.
Gotcha. And I'm assuming you started sleeping with this person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So definitely didn't communicate when feelings got involved. I'm like, well, it's fine. Everything will be fine. It's just a distraction. It's not really going to go anywhere.
Did feelings get involved? At what point did feelings get involved?
Probably a few years in. It definitely went on way longer than it should have.
Oh my God. How long did this go on for?
About 6 years.
Well, okay. You were casually hooking up with someone from work for 6 years?
Yeah. Yep. It was like an on and off again. It was just kind of when it was convenient for me, when it was convenient for him kind of thing.
Well, how convenient was it for... Well, 6 years is a very long time.
Yeah.
So like that's and the way you're talking about it like a 6 months is a long time. I mean, like,
yeah,
you're talking about it as like a 2 or 3 month thing.
No, it was definitely a long, drawn out kind of shouldn't have been happening.
Did you, in those 6 years, did you date other people? Did he date other people?
No. So to throw another wrench in here, he was separated, but not actually divorced.
Okay.
So
for the whole 6 years?
Yep.
So for the whole, he's been married.
So I was told.
Do you think he's still married as far as you're...
Oh yeah. No, they're still
living with his wife?
Yep.
Was he always living with his wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just not a great situation all around, but with everything else going on in my life, like it kind of served a purpose.
Gotcha.
And then once I was too far in, that's kind of when it got messy.
Okay. Well, how messy I guess, like, how messy did it get?
It didn't really get messy, I guess, in the sense of anything like dramatic happening. It was just once the feelings got involved and I knew that they weren't going anywhere, I kind of had to talk myself out of the mindset of like, well, having something's better than having nothing at all. And, I deserve more than that.
Did you ever like
So
shoot your shot, or were you just like, I don't know, this guy's probably married and probably not even separated?
no, maybe like a few months before it ended, I was like very open. I'm like, there's feelings involved. And he's like, yeah, well, this can be. And I'm like, well, okay,
He said what? This could what?
this can never be a thing. It's too complicated. My kids, all the excuses.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
But that took up the majority of my 20s, and then kind of got past that, and I'm like, "All right, let me give dating a shot." Now that I'm 32, I've worked through that, know kind of what I'm looking for. Let me see what's out there.
Okay. And then what are you running into now?
So I've been using the apps because that seems to be the way to go these days. First person I met up with was pretty, I don't want to say significantly younger, but he was younger. I'm like, oh, this will be good to just kind of get my feet wet, see what's out there, meet up with someone, not really expecting, too much from that. And it definitely turned into a little more than I was expecting at first. And
How so?
we started instantly. It was a good connection. We had really easy conversation. He seemed very respectful, got along pretty well, jumped pretty fast into communicating pretty regularly.
This is the first guy
Probably,
you went on a date with that you met on the apps post
yeah,
married guy? Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Hung out probably like 3 times in that first week and a half after meeting, and it took like nothing physical happened right away. It was just kinda a lot of talking, getting to know each other, enjoyed being around him.
How much younger?
Um, he's 23, so
Okay.
9 years.
Okay. Um,
Um,
and what were you getting out of that?
it was just nice to be around somebody that, there was no limitations or anything. We genuinely enjoyed being around each other, could, go out and do things or just have a quiet night in. And it was not solely physical.
Okay.
So that was kind of a nice change from
Did it get physical?
prior. It did eventually, yeah.
How long in?
It took maybe 3 or 4 times hanging out to kiss, and then we went more than that, maybe 5 or 6
You got text?
times in. Yeah.
Okay. And then what happened with that guy?
So we were pretty consistently communicating, kept checking in, like, are we on the same page? There were no real expectations up front. Just like, let's talk, see what happens, where it goes. Either it's going to work or it's not, but we'll find out either way. We were seemingly on the same page, and it got to the point where it was harder and harder to actually see him. We were talking all day, but actually getting him to make a plan was becoming increasingly difficult.
And
And he
that
lives a
changed.
mile away.
But that
Um,
changed, right? Like it wasn't always difficult and then it became difficult.
it became difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was super easy at first, and then it became increasingly difficult.
How shortly after you guys had sex did it start getting difficult?
Maybe like a month later.
Okay.
So we was pretty consistent up until that point, and then I went on a work trip and came back, and it
What
pretty
were
much.
as you started getting to know this guy, started enjoying his company, and it started to get physical, forgetting about what his expectations were, what you guys were communicating, what were you getting out of it, and what did you hope to continue to get out of it had it moved forward?
I guess I was just hoping to get out of someone that I could see, like, on a regular basis. I'm not overly concerned with titles, like, I'm not looking to find a husband, I'm not looking to start a family, I just
Period?
kinda want someone that I period, yeah. I mean, I'm not, like, opposed to it. If it happens, it happens, but I'm not, like, that's not a goal. I'm not set out, like, I need to find a husband and start a family.
When you say need to find, like, I'm just curious. I'm trying to understand how honest you're being with yourself. I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure that, there's a difference between, like, I don't need to find a man and a husband and start a family versus, like,
Mhm.
would you like to?
I'm not opposed to a husband. I've never really wanted to start a family.
Okay, you don't want
I
kids.
no, I've never really wanted them.
Okay.
I'd say like 90% no, and there's a part of me that's open to a discussion. If I was with the right person and that was
Okay.
important to them, I'd definitely, consider it and see what life looked like at that point, but it's not like a must do.
But so you're just kind of looking for companionship.
Yeah, companionship, consistency, just someone that adds value to my life.
Okay, you want him to okay. And then what happened with that guy?
So a lot of back and forth, still talking every day, but still not making any plans despite him being so close. And, the whole if he wanted to, he would is in the back of my head. But then I'm like, well, sometimes I want to and I don't. So, how true is that?
Yeah.
Definitely a little rose-colored glasses there. But
And then what thoughts or perspective did you have on the fact that that he was 9 years younger and just a 23-year-old man.
Yeah.
Like
I'm like, well, he's significantly younger. He didn't have much dating experience, had a really bad breakup with the only serious relationship he'd ever been in.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to give him a little grace on that. And like maybe he's just young and doesn't know how to navigate this. But it got to a point where I'm like, communication is basic. Like if you don't want to see me, I'm an adult. You can tell me you don't want to see me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, listen, that's true. It's also like it's an awkward conversation. A lot of people who aren't 23 still aren't good at that. I think it's just more, even before it got to that point where his communication changed, I think it's important. Like, I guess my point is like, so first, when it comes to like your dating life, right? Like we're learning a little bit about what you want for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kids aren't really on the plan. You're open to it, fine, whatever, but that's not something that like it's not a big priority for you. You are looking for like companionship. You're not even that interested in getting married. I guess you just want like some kind of life partner. I think that's getting more and more common these days. I do think, I don't know, I kind of feel like we need goals when it comes to anything in our life, or a plan, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't want to be so rigid when it comes to your romantic life, but like the kind of companionship you're describing is just kind of non-committal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our present state of dating is it's very non-committal landscape, or I guess what I'm saying is I still think you need to be more intentional, I guess, with the type of person you are looking to date, right?
Yeah.
If you want, if all you're looking for, right? If what you're saying is like, I just want someone around from time to time. The way you're operating right now, it seems like is a good plan if the person who you have companionship with doesn't really matter, so to speak.
Okay.
Honestly, like for some people in various stages of their life, this might work out, but like, or it might be just exactly what they're looking for. But what I mean by it's just like, the 6 years is a long time, but like the way you're going about it now, it's kind of like it's setting you up to like have a 4-month fling here, a 6-month fling there, hang out with someone, get to know them, have a bit of fun. It's kind of casual. I think we are all lacking a sense of commitment. I mean, at some point, this laissez-faire attitude that I think we have all come to accept when it comes to dating, I don't know if it's like a chicken before the egg situation. Like, are all of us saying to ourselves, oh, I'm not looking, whatever, I'm not looking for anything that serious, and I'm pretty chill, and I don't really care about labels. Is that how we really feel? Or are we saying that to ourselves because that's the landscape that we think is in existence, and we're just trying to be chill within the landscape that we're operating? If you meet a guy, forgetting out that this guy was 23 or whatever, but like if you meet a guy and right off the bat, you're just like setting the expectation, like I'm not really looking for anything that serious. Let's just take it slow. I don't like labels. Listen, if it's convenient for you and if it's convenient for me, we'll hang out, and we'll have a good time. Like if that's the expectation you're setting with a guy you're dating, you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
And same way with if a guy said that to a girl, it's just like you're just giving that person permission to not really invest in you, or this, like at some point we've become so afraid of rejection, of losing something we care about, that we pretend or act so non-committal.
That definitely makes sense.
And that's not setting us up to get anything that we want, right? That's setting us up to date a guy who claims to be separated from his wife for 6 years. It's just like you're being way too chill for your own good, is kind of how I see it, right? It's just, you want to date a 23-year-old guy, 9 years younger than you, go have fun, right? Like you got to be realistic and then be surprised, right? When I met Natalie, I unfairly had some, I guess, assumptions about her maturity level, our compatibility, et cetera, et cetera. I was proven wrong, right? But I at least went in with a more realistic, I'd rather be proven wrong than assume that like, oh my God, she's different than everybody else. Like she's so mature for it, like, right? Like be surprised, right? But like, you need to kind of go in more realistic about the people you're dating. If a man tells you that he's separated from his wife and it's complicated, but he still lives with his wife and he has kids, he's probably not actually separated, especially like if there's no movement, right?
Yeah.
When you meet a 23-year-old guy, just assume that he's probably not, he lacks the dating, almost certainly based off of time, there's a good chance he doesn't have the dating experience that you have. It could be, that might not be entirely true, but like there's a good chance maybe not. You can make certain guesses and assumptions and then be proven wrong, rather than being so chill about like not wanting to like, some people will be like, well, I just want to get to know people first. I don't want to make any assumptions. I don't want to project any like of my past. That's all well and good, but that's also like being a little delusional and a little naive, right? Like part the benefit of experiencing life and getting older is that we learn some lessons, often tough lessons, about how people treat us, how people react to certain situations. We get better at reading people. We get better at reading situations. And sure, sometimes that comes with a level of assumption and being wrong about people. But like we have to learn from our previous interactions and mistakes. Like we can't be so naive that we're just like, well, I don't want to. I know this happened to me in the past, but that doesn't dictate the future. I mean, that there's some level of truth to that, but let's not be so delusional about like how things have a history of repeating themselves and people aren't that complicated. And usually people like will have patterns from, we can learn things from our previous interactions to protect us from future ones, right? If you first called in saying you're falling for men who are bad communicators. Well, the first guy you described was probably married. The second one is 9 years younger than you, and was coming off a bad breakup with limited dating experience. And the communication you were having with him, while it sounds like you guys were talking and enjoying getting to know each other, there were really no expectations. The expectations was, I'm chill, you're chill, we owe each other nothing. Every day, like that's it. Well, if that's the expectation, then you're setting yourself up for these situations. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense.
If you meet a guy and you like him, then you're gonna have to put yourself out there a little bit, at the risk of being rejected.
Right. And it did get to that point where I wanted to talk to him about, hey, we've been hanging out for a little bit. I enjoy being around you. I'm not talking to other people. I'm not really interested in talking to other people, but I wanted to have that conversation in person.
Yeah.
And then that just never happened.
I think people should start having that conversation before they have sex,
Yeah.
There's that.
Yep.
I know that often doesn't happen. And it's hard to do in today's dating climate, but especially from a woman's perspective, you have a lot more power in that conversation if you have that before you guys are intimate rather than after you're intimate. There's that emotional attachment women often, not always, have to sex that men don't experience, right? So like you might be feeling a certain way simply because he had sex with them, not because you actually like him. And he might be feeling a certain way simply because he had sex with you. And maybe he likes you more than he realizes, but it's just like, Also, like, did you get your opinion? Did you guys talk about your age difference at all?
We did at the start. And we both said, it didn't bother either one of us. I've always kind of been like an age is just a number as long as we click, like personality wise, values, things like that. And we're at a relatively similar, like goal minded.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not a huge deal for me.
So
in either direction.
Other than these two guys, are there other people you've been talking to that are
Yeah. So when this kind of all stopped, I went pretty dating heavy and was just like, let me go out with as many people, like see who's out there, see what happens.
Yeah.
Let me just, try to get past this one, have some fun. Met up with someone that was just in town for the night. So, the expectation was that it was just a hookup, just for fun. Had a good night, said, get home safe. Maybe we'll talk, maybe we won't. Whatever happens, happens. Not really expecting anything. Chatted a little bit here and there after for a couple of weeks, but nothing of substance. Didn't have any thoughts of it going anywhere. And then he had asked one day, have you been with anyone else since you were with me? And this was a few weeks later. And I was honest. I'm like, yeah, I'm dating. I've been out with people. And he freaked out. He's like, well, I was really into you. I wanted to see if this would go somewhere, when there was no,
the guy you had
never any talk of that.
One night stand with, essentially?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I'm like, okay, someone else that can't communicate, because we communicated, the expectation was like it was a hookup, and now all of a sudden you're, mad that I've been moving as a single girl does
Yeah.
and saying that you were into me, you thought it would go somewhere. Like, where did that come from?
And then did it stop? He was like done because you hooked
Yeah,
up?
he was done. He's like, if you're talking to other people and if you're with other people, I want nothing to do with this. I'm like, well, okay, that's your right. It doesn't make any sense, but you do you.
Well, I mean, listen,
Um,
like one, I think in general, as a society, we become worse communicators, right? Like social
Yeah.
media, texting, all these all these alternatives to a face-to-face conversation have made us poor communicators. It is just easier to send a text or just avoid communicating. So there's that, right? And then I think also men generally are worse at communicating than women. I think that's a generalization that's somewhat safe to make, but
Yeah.
still a generalization. So yeah, and then I think you, particularly from what I'm picking up on, is that like you're being a little too chill and understanding even for yourself, where it's just like I could just picture you meet a guy again, you're just like, hey, whatever happens, happens. I get how this decision-making tree or lifestyle is exciting, right? Because if you're really good at, initially in a dating situation being very chill and very casual and very like, I don't know, I don't really know this guy, just very pragmatic, right? And like, I don't know, like I want to have sex tonight, great. Like you like, I love that you made that decision based on the fact that you just want to have fun tonight. You're not overthinking it. But if you get really good at that, when these people follow up with like, oh, like I want to, it's kind of exciting. It's like, oh, well, I guess there is something here or and that's fun, but I think that can be a little dangerous to always be excited about someone who surprises you, right? Like if you're so good at not having any expectations of any dating situation, when someone surprises you with an expectation they have, there's like, oh, okay, well, I guess you did miss me. Okay, I guess sure. And that is fun, but right, you get so good at that, I think you're setting yourself up to get hurt often, right? Because you're kind of convincing yourself you don't care. You convince yourself you don't care. It's super casual. Someone surprises you and says, hey, I want to hang out. Actually, I want to hang out with you. Oh, and then you have fun. You go on a date. Oh, actually, I want to hang out with you again. Oh, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, fuck, I like this guy.
Yeah.
Because then you hooked up and you're just like, you keep telling yourself it's casual. You keep telling yourself it's casual. And then one day you realize it's not casual for me. Right? And I think we, including you, have to get a little better at saying there's that fine line between being realistic that, all right, because the opposite of you, right, is someone who's called in before and meets someone and says something like, I went out with this person and we had this amazing first date. And then, okay, I wanted to be chill. And then we went on a second date 2 days later and it was also amazing. And I really like this guy. And it's just like, well, you had 2 good dates, and they just from that point on decide they like this guy. Like that's the opposite end of the spectrum for you, right? And they've convinced themselves they're into this guy they barely know, and then start like obsessively pursuing a relationship with someone that they barely know, right? And they have all these they have too many expectations, and they're not as open to just learning about people and and then they convince themselves that they like someone more than they actually maybe do, and they're not open to just like getting to know someone. And then you're on the other end being like, I got no expectations. I'm going to pretend I don't like this guy. Sure, we had two good dates, but like whatever. Just being kind of so overly pragmatic and a little cynical about dating, and dismissing the fact that like you're a human being and you can develop feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think you got to find that balance.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, what I need the most help with is finding that balance. 3 weeks ago, I did have a really good first date with someone. He's been sent out of state for work, so haven't seen him since. But we've been, checking in once a day or so, like, how's your day, things like that. I want to make plans when I get back, kind of thing. And I do want to see him again. But I don't know, like, where is that fine line of the communication where I don't want it to be overly communicating, but I don't want to be like as chill as I have been.
Hard for me to say. I think you just kind of have to find it. You have to be willing to swing and miss. You have to be willing. Everyone's different too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you're watching Bachelor in Paradise, but Brian on Bachelor in Paradise doesn't like want to be complimented.
Right.
He doesn't want to talk about his colors. I don't know. It sounds weird to me. But like, I think there's also a lot of, everyone's different, right? So I know that's like maybe a confusing answer, but you got to find what you're comfortable with. What matters to you? Like, what kind of form of communication do you like?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Early on, when you like a guy, what's too much for you and what's not enough? Ronnie Wu was a guest we had a long time ago. I've brought this up multiple times because he's I think it was a former psychologist. He had a bit of advice, and it really stuck with me. And it's just like, act as if, right? Like you dictate the terms of communication. Too many people will play the game of like, well, I'm not going to call I don't want to seem too eager. I'll wait 3 days to respond, or I'll do this or whatever. And it's just like, all right, if that's the type of pattern that you want, then do that. But if you like someone who responds quickly, then respond quickly, right? And if that gives them the ick, then you're already like, you don't want any part of that person, But if you're all right, they text me, I'm gonna go ahead and text them back, maybe short of like looking like you're living on your phone and maybe let it breathe for like 30 minutes, but like normal communication, if that's how you like to communicate with people, that's how you should communicate with people. See if they respond in kind,
Okay.
You can just start there. Don't try to convince yourself that you don't like someone or that that you need to be more chill. Like when you have to convince yourself, like, well, I don't want to sound crazy. Like, what does that mean? Like, are you doing something crazy? Too many, especially women, I think too many women worry about sounding crazy or acting crazy to a guy when it's just normal behavior.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
if a guy, if you're going to date a Brian from Bachelor in Paradise, you're not crazy. He's just a dick. Or he's just kind of emotionally kind of reactive, and that's not the type of guy you want to fuck with. Someone who's just like very prickly with their emotions and feelings, but you have to be willing to be rejected. The problem, the difficult part of being someone who's confident in what they want, someone who's confident in setting the expectations they have and confident in setting boundaries, is that like you learn pretty quickly all the people who like don't want to fuck with your terms, right? That's why people are often people pleasers, right? Because they don't want to find out what it's like for someone to be like, I don't want to do that, I don't like that. That's not for me. The people pleaser isn't worried about what they want or what they need. They're just like, they're here. What do you want? What do you want? How can I make you happy? What do you like? And there's a balance there, but like, that's also just a recipe for just chasing people. So like, you have to find that balance of being okay with someone just not fucking with how you fuck with, or how you communicate, but like, stop trying to figure out them, figure out what you want first, and then just do that and see who's down, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay.
And every situation's different. If there's a guy you've been hanging out with, I've enjoyed hanging out with you. Do you want to get together again? If you want to hang out with him again, if this is someone you start liking, and you see potential with before you get physical, I would definitely have the, hey, I don't want to see anyone else but you conversation before you actually get physical. I would try that out for size. Also, but if you're just a woman who just wants to like enjoy hookup culture while you're a single woman, go ahead and do that, knowing that like you're just having, and then if it happens to be a guy you end up liking, then you'll have to just deal with that, right? Knowing that like that might complicate the situation, but ultimately, if they really like you, then it hopefully won't change anything.
Okay.
Is this helpful?
So with the first one, the younger one,
Yeah.
I did at one point say like, here's what I want. And he's like, yeah, I do too. So he was like saying all the right things, even though the actions weren't adding up.
I mean, you're going to deal with that.
Because I said straight out, like, if you want to see, like, if you're seeing other people, if you don't want to see me, like, that's fine. Just tell me. I'd rather, like, know the truth. So I said, like, just let me know. Like, I can take rejection. But it took a long time to get to that point where he was finally honest with it. So, like, how do I let people know, like, it's, like, reject me, it's fine. I'd rather just be rejected and move on than, like...
Yeah, but that's not very realistic,
Yeah.
What's more realistic is you said to this 23-year-old man at some point, listen, if you're not feeling this, let me know. And in that moment, maybe he just wasn't sure. Maybe it was like, I don't know, she is cool and I enjoy hanging out with her and it's good sex and she's older and she seems to know what she wants, and I actually like the fact that I like her maturity and things like that. I don't know, I'm not really sure. And then 2 weeks go by, he goes out with his boys, right? Like he meets someone who wasn't in his life a week ago, And now that changes the equation. Like when you, again, that's kind of my point. It's just like when everything's so casual, everyone has the opportunity to level up, from their
Right.
perspective, to trade up, to be like, oh, well, I mean, I don't know, sure. When they go out with their guys or they go out with their girls, they can keep their eyes open. They can flirt. They can, I remember like when Natalie and I finally became boyfriend and girlfriend, like that was that was the first time in a long time I called someone my girlfriend. And it was like, oh, I have a girlfriend now. I had to quickly, I was single for years. So I had a lot of women friends, like not that, but like it was always flirtatious and friendly and just like I didn't ever have to worry about that. Like I didn't have to hold myself accountable to like having that mentality, and that mentality that I was always kind of available, that whatever event I went to, whatever party I went to, if I met a beautiful woman, I was always in like single Nick mode, and I could be a little flirtatious. I could be a little like, if nothing else, I could see if, she would flirt with me so I could, my ego would get boosted. And then all of a sudden you get a girlfriend, right? And that should change your thought process. It's like, well, I shouldn't be flirting now. Like, if my women friends who are comfortable to just be more casual and flirty with me, I have to shut that down. I have to be different, right? So like I had different expectations of myself, and that mentality kind of matters, right? We need to pursue something with someone. We need some roadblocks, right? And if we're always these free agents that like anytime we go out, there's the possibility of liking someone else, that makes it really hard to ever really commit to anything. And then you add it into the fact that he's a 23-year-old man, he's relatively early in his relationship, that's why sometimes you just have to like, and with this guy, after like 4 or 5 dates or hooking up, you could have been like, listen, I really like you. And like, if you want to keep doing this, I don't want to hang out with it. Like, I want to see where this goes. And he can say no.
Right.
But that's different than being like, I really like you. I just want you to know that I don't want it to change anything. No labels. We're definitely still not dating, but I just so you know, I do like you. And if you feel the same or you don't feel the same, let me know. It's too casual. Like there's
And that's definitely what I did. Like,
right. Like, so
exact words came out of my mouth.
What do you say to that person who says that to you? You're like, oh yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like you too. Sure. I'm like, but yeah, we're not boyfriend and girlfriend. I am going out with the guys tonight. He probably wouldn't say that, but in his head, he's like, well, I can still flirt. I guess I can even still have sex with other women. It's just like, yeah, no, I like you. Sure. Like, yeah. Why would he say anything different?
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Until he meets someone different or, and meets someone who's like, I kind of want to fuck with her more now, I guess, You have to find out who's willing to change for you, Like, again, when Natalie became my girlfriend, part of the equation of like finally for the first time in years saying, I'm going to make this person my girlfriend and we're going to see where it goes. Part of that was saying for the first time in years to like women in my life to be like, I have a girlfriend now. Like things are different. I couldn't just like have women friends over at my house to hang out and shoot the shit, like it was, I had a girlfriend now. Like I had to change the calculus. And part of that was like, well, I must really like this girl. I want to do this for her. I want to see where this goes, like I want to invest in this person in this relationship. To invest in things means you have to like prioritize it and give it time and maybe make some sacrifices and say no to other things. Maybe not make investments in other places in your life, right? That all make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think I definitely need to solidify like more what I want and not be quite as chill.
I think you're doing a great job because like, I think you have a nice outlook on dating. You have to be willing to take at bats, right? Like so I think you just have to make small tweak, which is have a little bit more expectations of yourself and just know that like, again, you're going to have a lot of swings and misses. And by swings and misses, I just mean like, they like you, you don't like them, vice versa. Like, again, like it's not just you, it's everyone, right? It's dating climate in general. It's just kind of a mess. Everyone is like this. You have to put yourself out there. If everyone's just so fucking casual about dating, then nothing really gets done, right? And that's when you end up dating people for years without any real like commitment or expectation. And you have to be okay with telling yourself, fuck it. I think I kind of like this guy. and I want to see where it goes. I'm not obsessed with
Mhm.
him. He might not like me. I'll get over it if I get rejected, but like, yeah, I want to see where this goes, and I'm going to put myself out there,
Okay.
and just, try not to get fatigued. If when you do feel fatigued, take breaks. If it feels like you've been more, it's like, I can't take another rejection. That happens to all of us, but yeah, is that helpful?
Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely super helpful.
Okay.
It's a good perspective because, my friends, they have the bias of they're my friend and they go off just what I tell them. And,
What are they
I
telling
get some
you?
solid advice, but don't always listen.
What are they telling?
And honestly, it depends on the friend. I've got some friends that are like brutal truth and they're like, you need to stand up for what you think you want and deserve. And if the communication's inconsistent or whatever, like don't put up with that.
I would agree.
And
Yeah.
then, yeah.
That's great advice from your friend, which is like just the more you're willing to put up with, the more people will take, right?
Hmm.
And you just have to be willing to say, I'm not down for that at the risk of not hearing from them again. But at least you're
Hmm.
not wasting your time. The fact that you fucked with a married man for 6 years and pretended to tell yourself that he was separated is definitely a red flag that you are good at talking yourself out of things or into things, that you're kind of good at lying to yourself about how you feel about situations. And I think that's something
Yeah.
you should really be mindful of, is to check in with
Hmm.
yourself about how are you feeling about this situation or this person, and just be brutally honest with yourself. You like them, you don't like them, there's no wrong answer. And then once you're honest with yourself, then be honest with them about what you want to pursue, right? And just
Hmm.
be open to be that person who really says, I can handle rejection. That's great. That's like it's a great quality to have. And then just, you'll save just a lot of time. More than anything,
Yeah.
you're just wasting your own time, not really getting to the point sooner and being a little too casual for your own sake.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I
And then
appreciate
the
it.
guy who like you had a one night stand with who decided to be well, I don't know. Like that just sounds like maybe kind of a weird, kind of slightly possessive, and again,
Yeah.
not I don't know, but like why did he think that? I don't know. Like that's kind of an odd,
Yeah. It was just out of nowhere. And I'm like, all right, here we go again with the weird communication. Like,
a little
I can't keep
slut
doing
shamey kind of, just like, well, why did you
Yeah.
like
I'm like, what do you mean?
like
Yeah.
weird, but again, like that's not really rejection. That you don't confuse men revealing who they are with you being rejected. Even if like it feels like you're being rejected, like in their rejecting you, they're also showing you their emotional immaturity or their reactiveness. And even though it includes them rejecting you, don't let your ego take over and ignore like all the things about like, I don't, this guy's being fucking weird. I don't like, thanks for rejecting me, but like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, so just be careful. You're seeing more and more young, emotionally immature men, and I think they're getting, good at, when they feel emotionally hurt, hurt people, they'll make you feel rejected by expressing their hurt. All right. Well, hopefully this was helpful.
Yeah, no, this is definitely helpful, and I'm excited to apply some of this and see what happens going
Sounds
forward.
like you're doing a pretty good job. Like you're open to dating, you're getting out there. Just be a little more honest with yourself. Take breaks when you need it, and expect more from the situations you're getting in a little quicker.
Mhm.
All right.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Take care. This is an ad by BetterHelp. Well, we've talked about BetterHelp because it works. And if you are someone who has ever considered therapy, check out BetterHelp. We certainly know that therapy can be difficult or just a little intimidating to get into. You can do BetterHelp from anywhere. All you need is an internet connection and a device, and you could be talking to a mental health professional in no time. It's incredibly convenient, and certainly finding the right therapist is probably the most important part when it comes to successful therapy. Well, the good news is BetterHelp is working with over 30,000 therapists, and you have the ability to switch therapists every time for free until you land on a therapist that you feel like you're benefiting from. So whether you have just general anxiety, stress, relationship problems, money problems, work problems, certainly we know that work can be one of the number one causes of stress and anxiety out there today. Get it off your chest with BetterHelp. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/VIALL. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/VIALL.
From emails to reports and project proposals, it's more challenging than ever to meet the demands of today's competing priorities without some help. Grammarly is the essential AI communication assistant that boosts productivity so you can get more of what you need done faster, no matter what or where you're writing.
Take it from me. If you have a team of employees, you want to make sure that they are spending time being creative, doing what you paid them for, doing what they went to school for. And it's not to constantly proofread or make sure their emails in the proper tone. Let the technology at Grammarly save your team a ton of time. 90% of professionals say Grammarly has saved them time writing and editing their work. Grammarly sets the standards for responsible AI you can trust. AI-powered tone features help you communicate confidently. A few clicks can tailor your tone and writing to your audience so you come across exactly as you intend.
Write and edit quickly with context-aware suggestions everywhere you write. 93% of professionals report that Grammarly helps them get more work done. You deserve to be equipped with the best tools to do your job with the right AI support. Let Grammarly take the busy work off your plate so you can focus on high-impact work. Download Grammarly for free at grammarly.com/podcast. That's grammarly.com/podcast.
How's it going?
Good. My name is Haley. I'm 26, and my mother-in-law has turned into a monster during my pregnancy, and I need help.
How is she turned into a monster?
So, my husband, a little backstory, is an only child, and so everyone has that, like, "Oh my god, the only child," they have, like, a certain, like, view about them. I've never had a problem with my mother-in-law, we've had a great relationship, and then, like, all of a sudden, when I got pregnant, she, like, has made my pregnancy about her.
How so?
Like, we found out pretty early, like, right at 4 weeks that I was pregnant. I told them around 6-ish just because, like, I was telling my family, I'm really close to them, and I knew, like, it was important to him to tell his parents, so I was like, "Yeah, sure." Well, immediately they live 8 hours away from us, and so immediately we were going to town, and she was like, "I booked a photo shoot." I don't even have an ultrasound at this point, I'm, like, 6 weeks.
She booked a photo shoot for who?
Me and my husband and her
And her?
husband.
Oh, the
Like a
four of you.
family photo shoot. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I told my husband, like, these are not gonna be my announcement pictures, like, this is kinda crazy, like, we don't even know that everything's okay, we haven't even had our first appointment, and so he tells her that, and she was like, "Oh, no, no, like, just a family photo shoot just for memories."
Okay.
So I feel kinda, like, a little weird about it, so I was like, okay." So we go, and she has, like,
Why'd you go?
okay, so I'm gonna be totally upfront with you. I am a complete, like, people pleaser, and that's the problem number 1, I can already tell you. And I just felt, like, guilted into it, and I was like, "Well, if, like, this isn't gonna be my announcement pictures, and if it'll make her happy, like, whatever." So I went, like, we were going to town anyways, and we show up to meet them, and she has, like, made T-shirts for herself and her husband that say "Promoted to grandparents," like, so she's turned it into, like, an announcement type thing, and so I'm already there, and I'm like, "What is this?" Like, completely thrown off guard. Fast forward a few weeks, we had to go back to town for, like, a family get-together, and she told my husband, "I made an appointment at one of those." Have you ever heard of those, like, boutique, like, ultrasound places where you can go, like, get the 3D, 4D type ultrasound?
We just call them doctor's offices in LA, but
Well, no, so I don't this may just be a Southern thing,
yeah,
'cause, you know, like, you only get so many throughout pregnancy, and I guess
sure.
people are really obsessed with, like, going.
I get.
So they
Oh,
have these
okay. Where
places,
if you have a little
like,
extra cash, you can. No, sure. Okay.
yeah, yeah, like,
All right.
cash only type thing.
Yeah.
She told my husband, so I booked an appointment for this 3D ultrasound for us to go to, and he
Like
didn't
in
tell
7
me.
months or
No, like, that week.
3D. It's the size of a pea. Not even. I mean, what are we? We're six.
At this point, I'm, like, 14, 15 weeks, but yeah, it's literally still tiny. It just now has, like, limbs and fingers.
All right. So listen. Not. I'm sure you have more of these stories. Are any of these stories beyond like grandma getting a little too excited and a little too just a little too excited about being a first time grandma?
The most recent thing, I, like, recently posted that I was pregnant and I chose the picture that I wanted, tagged my husband. Well, she, like, made her own post and, like, made it about her being a grandma, and after, like, everything that's built
Oh,
up.
well, hold on. Time out. When you say she made her own post, she posted on her Facebook or Instagram or something?
Yes.
Okay, right.
Yes.
What's wrong with that?
So those pictures, the original pictures with her in the shirt,
Mm-hmm.
the promoted to grandparents, I really didn't want those posted, and, like, also
You didn't want what posted?
those specific pictures, cause like, I was sick, I looked like I had, like
Okay.
I don't know about you when you're
You didn't like how
sick,
you
like.
looked in the pictures?
No, I
Okay.
didn't like how I looked in the pictures, and I
Yeah.
think for me, like, I'm a private person, and so I don't post a lot on social media, and so I kinda just wanted to put, like, this single picture and, like, that just be it, and not, like, all these other things, and plus, like, we didn't want the gender or, like, the name or anything posted on social media, like, only, like, my parents and his parents know that, and some of the posts, like, insinuated, like, what the gender was, and so now people are like, I don't know. Well, she didn't tag me in it, which is fine, but
All right. So have you had any conversations with your mom-in-law?
no. So I felt upset about it and just uncomfortable, so I told my husband, like, "Hey, like, this is your mom, like, I feel like if it was, like, vice versa, like, I would confront my mom if you were uncomfortable about something, and, like, I feel like it should be your place to be like, 'Hey, like, didn't really love that,' like, kind of as a not just like,
Are you telling your
'Oh, my
husband?
wife's being hormonal.'"
No, yeah, but are you telling your husband after the fact or?
Yeah, like, after it happened, but it was, like, right after,
Yeah, but the photos
because
were.
I didn't. Yeah.
But he didn't know or care, and he's just like he's not. I think you just have to listen. I get why you're frustrated, but well, and grandma's just excited. All right, just a little annoying. She's excited. She's not a criminal. She's just like older and doesn't. I don't know. She's just never been a grandma before. I agree with you that overall, like, definitely your husband's responsibility to like set expectations with his parents, and it's your responsibility to kind of set expectations with your parents. And I think you and your husband can do probably a better job of like, I don't know, how do you guys want to go about this pregnancy, right? Like, just certain things, right? Do we want to find out the gender? Yes, no, okay, fine. Do we want to tell anyone, including our parents, the gender? Yes, no, okay, fine. If we tell anyone the gender, what rules do we make it very clear to the people we trust? Hey, we're not fucking telling anyone. Like, this is very important to us. I don't want to see anything online. I don't want to. How do you want to go about this pregnancy? That starts with the conversations about you and your husband. What are we going to do as a couple? Like, and again, I hope that your husband is a little bit of like, all right, you're pregnant. How can I make your life easier? I don't care what you want, but what do you want? I just want you to be stress-free. I want you to be chill. Put that on me. I hope your husband's giving you a little bit of that energy, right? But it starts with you guys, right? And you guys very much have to be a team, right? And then when your parents kind of get weird or they kind of, you got to tell them, right? But they don't know. Like they're just kind of being kind of weird and excited and she made some t-shirts and I don't know, she's just getting a little carried away and no one's really telling her she doesn't know any better. And you're kind of getting mad at her and it's just like she posts some like first like I understand that you don't want pictures that you don't feel like you look good in, but like it is her post, right? So to speak.
Right.
So and you're not an influencer and it's not like you're like
No.
so you're kind of giving like influencer vibes where you're like, that's not for your picture to post. And it's like, it's just like, I don't know, she's a grandma. If you didn't want any other pictures online, that's fine. But you and your husband need to talk about that first. And then you need to communicate that to everyone else. They don't know. You have the right to handle this pregnancy however you want. You can be as ridiculous as you want. You can be as rigid as you want, but you have to figure out you can't decide after it happens.
Yeah.
You can't be like, oh, well, I didn't want you posting pictures. I didn't think to tell you that because I didn't think you would be weird. That's kind of how you're going about it now.
Yeah. Well, no, I respect your opinion. And see, like, my sister and I obviously have similar views, and so when we've talked about it, she's like, "Yeah, that's not okay." So she's, like, in my ear hyping me up, and I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? That's not okay." But so,
I mean,
like.
it's not okay for you. You know, it's not okay
Yeah.
for your sister. And again, you're the pregnant person here. So like you have every right to decide what is and isn't okay. But people they can't guess, you know? And
So
every family's different. People are, this is a special moment for a lot of people involved. Certainly the most special to you and your husband, but certainly as grandparents, this is a lifelong dream. You
yeah.
know, and this is how they're celebrating it, and they don't know any better, and they
Right.
don't know what you want or don't want.
But I guess, like, moving forward, like, because I'm not gonna be like, tell her to delete those pictures right now. Like, it's already like, people have already
Yeah.
seen it, it's done, it is what it is. But, like, I made a comment and I was like, "Hey, so, like, moving forward, I feel like we should, like, set some boundaries." And he was like, "Well, I just" all he thought about, and I know, like, I have had these things building up to where I'm like, "And she's done this, and she's done this, and she's done this," and all
Yeah.
he is seeing is, like, all she did was post pictures, like, I don't see the problem. And
Yeah.
so, I obviously am a little more hormonal right now, and not to blame it on that and, like, minimize myself, but so I'm like, "You're not understanding me," or, like, "You're not, like, validating me," and so then we're kind of at, like, a crossroads right now where I think he's misunderstanding, like, how we should handle it going forward, like, with both of our
Well,
parents.
how do you
Like
want to? I mean, that's the thing. And my point is, I think as the pregnant person in this story, you get to do whatever the fuck you want. You got 9 months to just blame it on hormones. Fuck it. You know, you know, the world is asking a lot of you in your body, and you are sacrificing so much for the life of this child, and for her to be, for mother-in-law to be a grandma, and your husband to be a father. It's you get spoil yourself. You know, you get to do whatever the fuck you want, but you do have to communicate it, right? And
Yeah.
more than anything, I would just love for you and your husband to sit down and just say, listen, whether it's hormones or what, I don't know, but like, can we just do this? Is us. This is about us. We are the only people that matters in our baby and our stress levels. And I want him to only care about one thing. And is my wife stressed or is she not stressed? How is she stressed? Doesn't really matter. Stress is the enemy. And if you are causing stress, you're the enemy, so to speak, including mother-in-laws. And I want him to have that energy. And I hope that you can just sit him down and be like, this, just help me out here. But you have to help him help you, right?
Yeah.
And can we, and call me crazy, maybe I'm hormonal, whatever, but like, I just don't want to worry about this shit. So what do we want as a couple? How do we want to handle our pregnancy? Do we want a baby shower? Do we not want a baby shower? Who do we want to throw the baby shower? Do we want 17 baby showers? I don't know. Do we want no baby showers? Decide these things. There's no wrong answer. If you want grandma to abide by some of just let her know. Just be like, listen, we want to keep it. Can you just respect? And that's, he should communicate that. And he doesn't have to agree with you, but he needs to have your back.
Yeah.
And you can blame it on the fact that like, this is what we want. Because at the end of the day, we just don't want her stressed out. Doesn't matter why she's stressed out. She's stressed out. So don't stress her out.
See, I know, and I think I'm having a hard time with that because I am the most, like, non-confrontational, like, people-pleasing person, so then when I am, like, obviously being a bitch, I'm
Well, you're
like,
not being a
"Oh
bitch.
my
Like you're not.
gosh."
You're just like, you're not being a bitch. But you're allowed to whatever you want, man. Just like
Yeah.
spoil yourself. But
I
don't let
yeah, and I
what you're doing the thing that's the worst, which is like you're not communicating what you want, and then you're reacting to how people are doing things, and you're letting
Right.
that bother you, and they're doing their thing. She's like, I'm posting a picture. I'm an excited grandma. I made stupid t-shirts, whatever. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like she booked a ultrasound, which is a little ridiculous, and the fact that she just assumed that you would show up for a doctor's appointment that you didn't
Yeah.
have to go to that's a little nutty. But that's also, you can just
Yeah.
chalk it up for excitement. And again, don't go to things you don't want to go to. And it's
Yeah.
your husband's job to be like, yeah, to communicate that. I want him to be like, all right, we're not going to this. I'll tell her, whatever. Don't worry about
Yeah.
it. Don't worry about it. I got it. Be like, yeah, we're
Okay.
not, I don't want to go to, we're not up, she's not up for a photo. I think photo shoots are like, we don't, later. Like,
Well, and, like, I'm like, I'm not even really showing yet, so what's the photo
she's just
of? Like, I
excited.
don't
She's just excited.
I know. I think I obviously am more, like, anxious because I'm like, Well, because we've never had conflict with her, and so there's never been a reason for, like, my husband to, like, have to, like, stand up to her, but I think I'm just, like, anxious, like, going forward, like, if there were something where I was like, "Hey, like, we don't wanna do that,"
But
like, if
here's the
he
thing.
wouldn't stand up for me, like
Well, here's the thing. In the next 9 months or plus or whatever, even after the baby shows up, you don't need a reason.
yeah,
That's kind of the beauty of it. I don't want to do it.
I guess I just haven't thought about it
Why?
like that.
Because I don't feel like it. I'm tired. I'm growing a child.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
Literally.
I don't have a reason.
Ugh.
That's too much energy to come up with a reason. I'm too fucking tired. I'm pregnant. Like
Ugh.
that's all you need. All
Yeah.
right. So just
Ugh.
just tell him what you want, and just yes, I think to communicate that to your husband, to say, listen, all I care about right now is us, and could you just help? I want to make sure we have a little bit of stress, and every once in a while over the next 9 months, I'm gonna want to do things, and I'm gonna not want to do things, and can you just have my back, whether you agree with it or not? Just be my emotional, like that's your husband's job, is to be your emotional filter
Right.
from the outside world. He's
Right.
the one who's like, I don't, she's pregnant. Leave her alone. We don't want to do it. I don't care,
Right.
And then when it comes to his mom's just excited. And I'm hoping and assuming that she just needs to be like, hey, she's not right now. Chill out, mom.
Yeah.
You're being a little much, mom. He doesn't have to like put her on her place. He just needs to,
Okay.
you have to get good at saying, I don't feel like doing that.
Yeah, that's a big problem is I let people like, I have always been like this. I will talk my shit and I'm like, and I would never do that, but then the second it happens, I'm like, "Yes, of course, anything for anybody," because I'm such a people pleaser.
You're pregnant. You're pregnant. You just, see,
I appreciate your stance though, because I know, like, for me right now, I'm like, and someone needs to say something to her, like, how dare she? And obviously my sister is gonna be like, yeah, exactly, put her in her place. But like, it's really good to hear like your side of it.
well, there's no place for her to put in. She's just an excited
No,
grandma
no,
who
yeah,
doesn't know any better. And she's just annoying you a little bit.
yeah, that's
And then
that's a good
all
perspective.
you have to do is say no.
Yeah,
Like, you don't even know
you're
if she's
right.
going to react. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know.
for all you know, she might be like, yeah, I guess that was a little nuts. End of story.
Yeah,
Like, I'm too tired to go to I'm too tired to go to a doctor. I don't want to go to a photo shoot. I'm tired. Can we do it later? I'm tired. I don't want to do it. That's it.
yeah.
That's all you got to practice. And
See,
if,
because in my head, I, like, see it obviously, I get, like, a one-track mind, and I'm like, "And she's doing this, and she's doing this, and she's trying to take over my pregnancy," and, like, that's why, like, when I wrote in, I'm like, "And she's a monster," like, I get so, like, one-track minded that it's all I think about, which
sure. Yeah.
obviously, like, I am very hormonal right now, so it is all I've been thinking about,
Yeah.
but yeah,
You,
no, this
you,
is
you got one job, and that is to like take care of your body, take care of your emotional stress, like minimize your stress. That's
yeah.
you're
There's no reason for me to be stressed out
you
about
could that's
this.
all you have to do is but you blame it, if you need a reason, is like stress is a terrible thing to have during pregnancy. And
Right,
you have that card to play for 9 months. Don't stress me out. I don't want to be stressed. Why? I'm pregnant.
right.
All right, shut the fuck up. That's that
Uh,
simple. You get to be so
okay.
unreasonable right now. I mean, don't when you don't like don't overplay your hand, like, but
I'm trying not to be.
you can, and you have the benefit of
Yeah.
not feeling guilty about it.
No, that makes me feel a lot better because I think when I first brought it up to my husband and he was like, "I don't really, like, understand where you're coming from, but okay." Like, and so I was like, "He doesn't understand me, like, I'm just being crazy," and, like, so then I got mad at him and he's completely like, "I don't understand what's going on, like, it was just some pictures."
Yeah.
But if you want me to say something, like, okay. And I was like, "Well, it's already done."
All
So,
right. Listen, I think you're working through this. Is this your first pregnancy?
yes,
Yeah. So
it is.
give yourself
Okay.
some grace. But I do think you and your husband should sit down and just talk about what you guys want out of this pregnancy. How do you
Right.
want, and be on the same page with him, and just like,
Right.
and say, the only thing I really need from you is, and I'm just going to say thank you now, because at times I might ask things in the moment probably don't make sense. I don't know. I'm kind of going through a lot right now. I don't know how my
Yeah.
body's going to feel tomorrow. Help me deal with my stress. And if I don't want to do something because like grandma or my parents are asking something, let's just have my back when I don't want to do something.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't,
That'll be
you know, and
yeah.
as long as he
That's
doesn't
some
make you feel guilty, then that's fine.
Yeah, no. He very much is a like go with the flow kind of person. So that's why like when his mom says stuff, he's like, "Oh yeah, sure." Like she's just excited. And I like in the back of my mind, I'm like, "What? Why would you do that?" But I don't say no, so then it's really my
You have to learn.
fault if
That's
I
not your fault, but yeah, you say no. This is a
yeah.
great opportunity for practice not being a people pleaser. If there's no better time,
And I think honestly, like I have been anxious because like I know that obviously a different situation, but like my mom had like a rough relationship with her mother-in-law because like she my grandma's very bossy and my mom was a people pleaser. And so she would get like have hard feelings toward her and she would never know. So then I like start thinking and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm going to be 50 years old and still not like my mother-in-law when like this is the only problem I've ever felt." Like we've had a great relationship up until
great.
I got pregnant. So I think I just have been like reading way too much into it.
That's normal. You're in the driver's seat. But not only forget about you being pregnant, but like your relationship with your mother-in-law. Say no when you want to say no. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. Try it out. See how mother-in-law responds. Don't have to make a whole meal out of it.
Yeah. No. I mean, what's the worst? What's the worst that could happen? They'll think I'm being a bitch. Like,
Just don't want
okay,
to do it.
and
I don't. Yeah.
well, that's great perspective because I obviously haven't had someone just have a different opinion than me. So I feel like this really like brings my anxiety levels down because
Well,
it's
good.
not like I need to be like delete pictures and whatever.
No,
So
you just need to get better at just saying, "Hey, I don't. Could you? Can you just not do that next time?" Or again, like it's
okay.
just like this is how we want to handle our pregnancy. I mean, who's going to be in the room with you?
I don't think I want anyone in the room with me.
Great. Get that out there fairly quickly.
I have already said something because my older sister, like, she very much, like, wanted me in the room and wanted my mom in the room. So, like, I've already told them, which, like, my family is very understanding and they know that I'm more, like, private and, like, to myself. So they already have been like, "We'll be around if you want us, but, like,
Great.
we don't expect to be in the room." So
Perfect. Love that. And that's just kind of the thing.
so
That's
luckily that's been
the
good.
general energy. But like, and if it's not good, that's their problem. I don't know.
I've been trying to, like, tell myself that, like, if they have a problem with how I feel, that's not my problem.
This is your family. Your husband, your child, you are creating a new family. You know what I'm saying? You guys are starting
Yeah,
new rules, right? Like think about it though. Like when I was a kid, it was my parents' family, right? I had a lot of brothers and sisters, and my parents would host Christmas and all the holidays, and their siblings sometimes would or wouldn't show up, or my grandparents would or wouldn't show up, and things like that. But my parents created a family, and the world revolved around their family, right? And then like we're
right.
used to that growing up, and like, but like now, this is your family. You're starting new traditions, and like maybe grandmas and grandmas show up or not, but like this is your family, so act accordingly. Make new rules.
Yeah,
Like it's young, right? Because right now you're still like you probably go to your parents' house for the holidays still, and that's fine, right? But someday that's going to change. You guys are going to be hosting the
right.
holidays. It's going to be your family, your rules, how you guys do things. It starts with conversations between you and your husband. People will just get in line or they won't get in line or whatever. Like, but it's your family. And you're going to only want to spend time with your baby and your husband. And like people are going to be knocking on your door to get that access. So, like, again, don't become like this monster of dripping with power because it's your family and everyone. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but you got to see
Yeah,
it that like this is start creating a life for yourself. Start creating your
yes.
rules around your family, and you dictate terms. And when do you do?
December 29th.
December 29th?
Yeah.
My point exactly. You just be like, you know what? We're not going anywhere for Christmas. Leave us alone. I'm due. I'm like, fuck,
Yeah,
that, you
that's
know what I'm
already
saying?
my plan.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and you and your husband might have your first Christmas alone with each other, like kind of nesting and getting ready for your child and things like that. And you might just be like, you're not invited.
Yeah.
We're not showing up. And that is okay because it's your family.
Right.
It's not their family anymore.
I know. I think I really need to start becoming better at saying no and not being so much of a people pleaser, and then I feel like the rest will fall into place.
I promise they'll
Uh,
live. They'll take what they'll take what they can get. All right, you feel better?
I do. I feel a lot better. Thank you.
All right. Well, congratulations. Enjoy. Like, just no stress. Your only job is to not do what you don't want to do. That's literally your
Right.
only job. Take care of yourself, take care of your child, and don't do what you don't want to do.
Right.
There's too many things
And
you have to do that you have no choice because you're pregnant.
Mhm.
So when it comes to things that you have the option to do or not do, don't fucking do what you don't want to do.
You're right. I'll be listening to that in the back of my head
All right.
from here on out.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
thank you for
My
having me on.
my pleasure. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Not too long ago, we went to Florida to hang out with our friends Tate and Tyler, and we did a nice little workout via Tonal, and I can tell you, it was incredible. You know me. I think going to the gym and spending money on a gym membership is all kinds of a big waste of your time. First of all, you're busy. You're too busy to pack a bag, go to the gym, change, do a workout, get bothered by people. Let Tonal do that for you. It's a very sleek design. It fits any wall in your house.
Tonal provides the convenience of a full gym and the guidance of a personal trainer anytime at home with one sleek system. It's designed to reduce your mental load. Tonal is the ultimate strength training system, helping you focus less on workout planning and more on getting results. I know my problem always was going to the gym and being like, is my back right? Is my form right? I don't know what I'm doing. Am I getting the right workout in? But with Tonal, no more second guessing your form. Tonal gives you real-time coaching cues to dial in your form and help you lift safely and effectively.
Stop spending all kinds of money going to the gym or getting all kinds of equipment. Tonal truly is an all-in-one, sleek, at-home gym right inside your home. Take it from me, someone who's done all kinds of exercising. I was back in a different life, a D1 athlete. Tonal can give you an amazing workout.
It's basically like a mirror on your wall.
Yeah.
It looks gorge and it works gorge. So right now, Tonal is offering our listeners $200 off your Tonal purchase with promo code VIALL. That's Tonal.com, and use promo code VIALL for $200 off your purchase. That's Tonal.com, promo code VIALL for $200 off.
Sundays for dogs. If you love your dogs, you want to make sure that you're feeding them high quality ingredients so they can feel better, look better, have better poops, and live longer. Sundays was co-founded by Dr. Tori Waxman, a practicing veterinarian who tests and formulates every version of each recipe. Sundays contains 100% all-natural meats and superfoods and 0% synthetic nutrients or artificial ingredients.
You like good food, so why don't you give your dogs good food? Dog parents report noticeable health improvements in their pups, including softer fur, fresher breath, better poops, and more energy after switching to Sundays. Unlike other fresh dog food, Sundays does not require refrigeration or preparation because of their air drying process. So you just pour and serve. When you start a Sunday subscription, you'll automatically get 20% off and free shipping on every reorder. You can cancel or pause your subscription anytime with their 100% satisfaction guarantee. Get 40% off your first order of Sundays. Go to sundaysfordogs.com/VIALL or use code VIALL at checkout.
How's it going?
Hi, Nick. My name is Veronica. I'm 32 years old, and I recently realized that in the face of tragedy, I have no friends.
All right. Well, tell me, what do you mean in the face of tragedy? And what do you mean by no friends?
Without getting too deep into it, just this past January, I lost my 8-year-old nephew to complications after surgery, and it's been about 6 months now. But after that, like, I really just had nobody I thought who was like my friend reach out, check in on me, say, "Hey, how are you doing? How's your family?" Just really just have felt completely alone
Mm-hmm.
in this when I know I'm not alone,
Okay.
but it's just I don't have anybody other than like my family who's also going through it to
Yeah.
talk to about it.
Okay.
And I'm feeling really hurt.
Okay.
Um,
That makes sense. So just kind of just recapping, you had obvious, and I'm very, very sorry for, I mean, it's devastating.
the worst.
Truly devastating. Yeah. And in that devastation over the past several months, there were people in your life you kind of assumed at some point would reach out or offer a shoulder to cry on or just a sounding board for you to vent, and that didn't really happen the way you kind of hoped or expected it would, and that makes you feel very lonely.
I've always been the type of person who would reach out to
Mm.
my friends when something happens. I know something happened. Like one of my really close friends a few years back, her brother-in-law passed away pretty suddenly, and I showed up for her. I
Mhm.
was there at like the viewing. I was there for, you know, I ran and got the dinner for the family after their like little funeral service and checked in on them months afterwards, just making sure that her husband was okay and she was okay. It just really it was not reciprocated
Yeah.
in this event. And it's just
So you have
it just
at
hurt.
least one particular friend in mind that you were hoping to receive this.
I have two really close girlfriends
Yeah.
that I thought out of
Would show up.
even just like minor acquaintances who I thought would be there and be
Yeah.
understanding
Yeah.
and
Have you
offer to like
communicated this with those people? Just
I
the
have it just because I am a people pleaser and I don't want my burdens to be placed on other people, and I know that it's kind of counterintuitive
yeah.
um, to
Yeah.
expect people to be there, but you're not asking people to be there because you don't want to burden them with your things going on in your life.
Well, what you're saying doesn't make sense. In a way, you do want to burden them.
I want,
Well, you
yeah,
want
I
them to
guess I
step
want
up.
them
Yeah,
to want
right? You
my
want to
burden.
Yeah, yeah. It's like when the friend whatever friend you talked about, right, that had the tragedy that you showed up for. I'm not saying it was a burden for you, and I'm guessing you did it with love. The way in your mind is you went out of your way to show up for that person, right? You went out of your way to go to a funeral or a wake or you took the time to listen to your friend when you, I guess, could have been doing something more fun, or more enjoy.
I was married with a child at the time, and I could have been home with my
Yeah,
husband and my daughter.
there you go, right?
Um,
And so I guess what I'm saying is that, objectively speaking, there was a little bit of burden there that you took up, right?
yeah,
Right? And which is part of the reason why now that the roles are reversed, that you do want to burden them, so to speak, right? Like it's weird saying it out loud, but I think sometimes we just have to acknowledge, because you're kind of you're emotionally you're kind of talking out both sides of your mouth and you're not doing anything about it, and then the only result is it makes you feel really shitty inside. It's like,
yeah, that's what I mean by it being like counterintuitive, where it's
yeah.
like I want to have them to talk to, but I know that by me not being like, hey, can you listen?
Mhm.
Like it's not a fair thing to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know because now that it's been, 6 months, like, is it
You're
too late to like bring it up and be like, hey, in January, like I really needed you when you weren't there.
Yeah. Well, it's never too late. I mean, depending on assuming that you still want to be friends with these people.
Like it's hard for me because my daughter was also my nephew who passed, was they were best friends.
Mhm.
So like I carry her burden and her grief. And obviously it was my sister's son who passed away. I carry her burden, I carry her grief as much as I can. We don't live super close to each other.
What do you mean by
Um,
carry?
I just, just really try to make sure that I'm there, especially for my daughter who's only 6. I let her cry into me and I say, okay, like give all of your like all your sadness to mommy, like mommy will take care of it.
But I guess what does that mean to you when you say that? Like,
I just don't want them to hurt.
yeah. Again, I understand like maybe that's just something you're saying to your daughter, but
Yeah.
it almost sounds like if you are holding on, you have to be able to release this, right? And it almost sounds like, all right, you want to be there for your sister, you want to be there for your daughter, you want to be there for your family, and you have decided to take this up and do this as like this act of love, this act of service for the people that you love most in your life. And gee whiz, like why can't you just ask a little bit from your friends who didn't honestly like, while you hope they have empathy for you, aren't feeling this pain that you feel because of this loss that your family incurred, right? Is essentially kind of
Yeah.
how you're feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, first, it's just like natural that you're feeling this way, and it makes a lot of sense. I don't know if this is going to help at all, but I mean, friendships are very fleeting. And in those fleeting friendships, I think as we get older, we realize how special family is. Family, like what's the common saying? You don't get to choose your family. You get to choose your friends, right? Oftentimes
Yeah.
we enjoy the company of our friends more than we sometimes enjoy the company of our family. Because again, we don't really choose our family. But as friendships go, they can be temporary. They can be, friendships are often formed, especially in adulthood, because they fill a need, and sometimes that need is more temporary than we realize. And there's not the bond that there's not this natural bond that comes with family. Like this is my blood, that connect, you feel connected to these people that are family, even when they drive you nuts, and things like that. And so I think it's very common to often feel like this with various friends. I think we have to be careful not to make the mistake of, well, I was willing to do this for my friends, so they should want to do it for me. I think that's normal. I also
Yeah.
think when you're dealing with death and things like that, not to make excuses for your friend, and I'm not saying this is the reason, I don't know these friends or your relationships, but like
Hmm.
people get real funny when it comes to how they deal with death. Most people are lucky enough to not have had to deal with any real significant tragedy in their life like you've just had to face, other than the loss of a grandparent or
Yeah.
a great uncle or something like that.
Hmm.
And so when stuff like this happens, like people just don't know what to say. They don't know what to say or do, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely I understand that feeling as well, even though, I am part of the family. I, love my nephew like he was my own. Even like sometimes with, my sister and her husband, like I really don't necessarily know how to show up for them.
Yeah, you don't know if is today the day they want to hear from you? Is today the day they don't want to talk about it? You never really know, and you have to be flexible or nimble with like, it's just like, hey, they may be feeling a certain way today, so I don't really know. Like it's your sister, so you again, being an empathetic person, you're pushing through that discomfort with your sister to be there for her
Yeah.
because you just know she's your sister, you know like it's your family, you have to show up.
Yeah.
When it comes to these
Yeah.
friends, again, I don't know what they know or they don't know. I don't know if you've communicated just how hard it's been for you. Sure, certainly, like, yeah, is it disappointing that your friends didn't show up for you? Of course. But
Yeah.
I think in these situations, you're doing yourself a disservice because here's when you called in, your first thing you said is like, in the face of adversity, I realize I have no friends. That's a very heavy statement to say. I have no friends. And I'm like, oh my God, like this person's
Yeah.
alone. And then 30
A
seconds
loser.
I find out you have a husband, you have a daughter, you have a sister, you have a brother-in-law, you have a family. But I think our perspective very much matters. I mean, if there's one thing, if there's one consistent thing I talk about, regardless of if it's this type of call where you're calling in that's very unique about like this very tragic loss and friendships versus like someone who calls in struggling with the dating situation, they're dealing with a fuck boy or
Hmm.
whatever, and it's just like, I don't know what to do. And it's like but the stakes, seem a little bit lower than what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
It's already just about our perspective. How do we approach a situation? How honest are we being with ourselves about this situation? Are we painting a picture that's making it more difficult than it is? Listen, you have every right to feel sorry for yourself right now. I mean, this is a terrible situation your family is going through. So it makes sense to like sit in this pain, right?
I feel it every day.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I've been you. I know what it's like to want more from friends. I mean, we all know what it's like to show up for people and have those same people not show up for us. It's an icky feeling. And this is like this situation you're going through. It's the time and when you really need someone, like it's just like, my God.
And that's the thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I know I have like my mom and I talk every day, and, we cry about it, but I don't want to always just cry about it with my mom, like I want her to not to go a day
What
without
about
feeling this loss of her grandson.
therapy? Or where is therapy included in any of this?
So funny thing, my sister also always tells me I need to go to therapy.
Yeah. I mean, this is.
And I've tried therapy in the past, and it's, it's something that's more looming now than it was before. But I've sat through like session after session of going through like I have some heavy childhood trauma as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I just sit there and I'm the only one who's talking, but I'm not given any tools as to, okay, well, how to help me get through like when I'm having a really like depressive type manic episode.
Well, finding a good therapist is a little bit like dating.
Yeah.
There is that. Not all therapists are created equal. So if you are investing in therapy and you don't feel like you're getting something out of it, maybe that's a sign to try someone else. More like as far as this particular situation, one, like you've heard me talk, like I think therapy in general is a positive thing, assuming that you can find someone you connect with. I think therapy in general, when treated like a bicycle helmet rather than reconstructive surgery, is a positive thing. For you, in this particular situation, we're talking reconstructive surgery here, right? We're talking how do you pick yourself up from this tragic loss. But I will say, when it comes to getting the most out of therapy, if you're just kind of going into like maintenance, be like, well, I don't really have like a ton of like problems. I mean, there's general anxiety I deal with every day, and like, sure, like
can open up,
and then
Pandora's box.
You can go into therapy. Yeah. But like, you can be a little bit more intentional. Like right now, you need someone who's not your sister, who's not your mom. Your friends would be nice if for no other reason you felt like they were showing up for you, but they're also not therapists, and there's only so much they can say, so to speak, or know what to say. Yeah. But a therapist, a good one that you feel safe communicating with, could just be the person you just kind of let all the, if you're going to quote unquote, let your daughter and let your sister and let your mom push all their pain onto you, then maybe you hire a therapist to like dump it all on them, just to vent, to get it out, to just talk, to just, you can say whatever the fuck you want in therapy, to just, I'm angry. I don't know why maybe you're just like, I don't know, it sounds crazy. I'm mad at my sister. I don't fucking know. You know what I'm saying? Like in therapy, you have the benefit to just vent and get it off your chest. And then have hopefully a therapist to like just kind of have of guardrails that like if you say something a little out of pocket, to unpack that or just question, so you don't go totally off in the left field with your emotions, and just kind of process it and just kind of get it out, because you are holding on to a lot of pain, a lot of toxicity that I think you just kind of need to get off your chest. If you happen to find a therapist that you connect with, that you feel like, all right, well, I feel, if nothing else, a little lighter after like venting for the past 15 minutes with this therapist. Maybe you can unpack some childhood trauma. Right now, maybe that's not the goal with therapy. Right now, the goal is to just work through this current trauma. How do you get things off your chest, and how do you cry without, with your therapist, so that you don't feel like right now you don't want to cry around your sister, you don't want to cry around mom, you don't want to cry around your daughter, because you don't want to burden them with your tears. You want to be strong, and that's great, but you need to let that out somewhere. And you hope that it's your friends, but right now your friends don't know what to say or do. I think it would be more than fair, and I think you should find the way to communicate to your friends to say, I think it starts by giving them some grace. Listen, I assume that you just didn't know what to do, but like, I really needed a friend. And I guess I was just a little bummed that I just felt like I didn't hear from you. You know, you should give them some grace to say, I didn't really know what to say or do, and allow them to say, well, water under the bridge, but can you try to be, I would love to hear from you. Can you check in on me? You have to sometimes tell people how they can show up for you, especially around death, because people are just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this situation, you know? And so
just taking it in. I definitely understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I think I have a hard time with that.
It's just a very dangerous thing to.
I don't want to. It's one of those things where it's like I don't want to. I don't. Such a wife thing to say. I don't want to ask you for help. I want you to know I need help. You know, like
I know,
don't
but
ask
these friends,
you should know that you should be there for me as a friend.
Totally, but I think we also have to be realistic.
Yeah.
I think we only have so much room in our lives for very intimate and special relationships. And despite how you're feeling right now, it sounds like you have a lot of very wonderful, intimate, and special relationships.
Yeah,
right?
like you, Nick, I come from a very large family, so
you know. But more importantly,
facets everywhere,
and that's just a bonus at this point. You have your daughter, you have your spouse, you know, and those are the most important right now, you know, or you know, certainly your daughter. And I guess what I'm saying is, it's just like friendships are nice to haves at this stage in your life. But yeah, it's just more like, I forget what you said, but like
being a wife, like I want you to just know.
Yeah,
be there.
Yeah, exactly, right. So like, I just like, that's the job of your husband, so to speak, or your daughter, or your sister.
He's so good.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's just like, so there's only so many people in your life. I think we get to say, this person should instinctually know what I need and want. They're around me enough. They know who I am. Our friends, like maybe when we're in college or we're in our early 20s and our friends really are kind of our romantic partners. You know, when I was a single guy and it was just me and my boys, and we just assumed we were hanging out, right? There wasn't like, what are you doing this weekend? It was like, I'm going to hang out with my guys this weekend. We spent every day together. We would go to dinner together. We would go to movies together. We'd play video games. I mean, you know, like there's an intimacy there with friends. And then you meet
one of my sisters did say, because I didn't go to college. I didn't go off to like university or anything. I did some classes at a community college. My sister did say, she's like, if you went away to school, like you would probably have these deeper friendships with people. Like,
I don't know, maybe not.
My other sister, not the one who lost her son, but my other sister, like she had friends flying from Texas. Like she had all these people show up, and I'm just like standing in this room alone with no friends who showed up. And I know that's a lot of comparisons.
It is.
Her friends knew what she needed.
Yeah.
My friends clearly did not.
Yeah, and I don't know who your sister is, or your sister's personality versus yours. Maybe your sister is a little more direct. Maybe your sister's less of a people pleaser.
I don't know. We're born and raised Catholic, so we do, you know.
Well, I was born and raised Catholic. I'm not a people pleaser.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know, I don't think you couldn't have been raised more Catholic than me.
You'd be surprised, Nick. You would be surprised.
I would go toe to toe with anyone. My parents were introduced by a Catholic priest. Grew up around priests and nuns. We said the rosary as a family, even in car rides. Oh yeah.
I used to go on nun runs with the priest and at least all this fun stuff.
We tied. I could not have been raised more Catholic. I'm just saying that really. But the comparison is a thief of joy, right? And you're spending a lot of time painting. You're taking a very tragic situation right now, and you're honestly making it worse on yourself. Like, this is not the time to take an inventory of how many cool friends or great friends you've been able to collect in your life. You know,
I know.
This is not the time to make.
I got rid of social media. I deleted the apps off my phone and stuff because I just found myself sitting and comparing my life to others, and I have a great life. 2 friends right now that you expected a little bit more than you got, and it hurt your feelings, and that's normal, and that's valid, and you have the right to feel the way that you do. It doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't even make them bad friends. They just didn't show up the way you needed them to. But you definitely need to communicate that somehow in a way that gives them a little bit of grace and gives them an opportunity
to say, I'm sorry I didn't do that. And while I hope you don't have to face this type of tragedy, like I would like to like make things right and just know that I do, you know, whatever. Or you find out that like, I don't know, maybe they're just, I don't know, you've grown apart. Friends grow apart, you know, like friends come and go. You know, if we're lucky enough to have lifelong friends, in addition to having a happy marriage and a beautiful family and kids that take up a ton of our time and energy and require emotional support in all aspects of life, you know, and we're lucky enough to maintain long-lasting friendships. That's you're really dealing with a full deck there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a couple friends I've been friends with since middle school. We've definitely like lost touch. I don't the same, you know, these were guys who I was hanging out with every day. Like, I don't know, I might not talk to them for a couple months. I don't know if they're telling me every intimate thing that's happened in their life. And honestly, I don't know if I've shown up in the way they expected me to. I consider them my close friends, but like, I got a wife now. I got a daughter. I have employees. I have a business to run. I have my family to take care of. I don't have time, you know? And that's the cold, hard truth of it, you know? But like your value isn't, you know, and it sounds like the way you talk, honestly, you kind of remind me a little bit of my mom sometimes, in a little bit. Like my mom was the only daughter. She had all brothers. She got pregnant early in her life. She also didn't go to college. I think my mom didn't have sisters, and I think she's always had a hard time having, you know, she's always wanted to have friends. And I think because of her life and her life choices and all the other things going on in her life, I think that's the one thing in her life she's kind of struggled to make. She's had friends in her life come and go, but again, like part of it is just like she's a mom of 11. And she's a great mom, and she's an active mom, and she's a great wife, and it's just like, how much time do we have to invest? Like, you have to invest in these relationships that flourish. And you don't how much time do you have to really make these friendships that are really rocking you and rocking your sense of self-worth? Like, how much time do you really have for these friendships right now?
That's very true. No, I think the way you described your mom is very similar to myself. I've always had a hard time with friendships, but I think a lot of that goes back to childhood trauma rooted in that. But another day.
I think when it comes to the average people pleaser, that's the biggest mistake they make, because I think we all you need your husband to expect things from you. Your husband needs to you to expect things from him. I don't know how you are with your husband. I'm assuming you're probably less of a people pleaser with him than anyone else.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Right? Well, and that's, you know, because like people need to know what do you want from me? You know, I don't read, you know, it's like, sure,
I'm
yes,
working on it.
you want people to show up, but you gotta tell people what you want, even at the risk of finding out maybe they're not the friends you thought they were. But you're gonna find that.
I think that's what I'm scared about. Like, I'm scared.
Yeah. Well,
to rock the boat and say, hey, why weren't you there? Like, I needed you, and I know I didn't communicate that well or at all. And
well, what's the worst that can happen?
I truly feel like I have no friends if they get upset, if they say, well, I had things going on in my life. Like, I'm sorry that wasn't the most important thing.
Well, what I mean, as a wife, as a mom, as a sister, as a daughter, what do you want for yourself at this stage in your life? Like, what do you have time for?
A phone call every now and then.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, and that's nice.
Somebody don't feel like I can, like somebody I feel like I can just talk to. And I know it's like, oh, well, that's what therapy is for. You talk to a therapist about it. But I just feel like, at least in my experience, the therapists I've talked to have all been very like cold, and I do all the talking, and I'm like, I need help trying to figure out how to.
I mean, what you're just
my emotions.
Well, yeah. One, again, you maybe just find a therapist you connect with a little bit better. But two, you're right. Therapy and friendship are not the same. Like it's like there's very two different things you're getting out of these relationships. I think, back to the therapy thing, there's just some unloading that sounds like you need to do that like a friend might not be equipped to do that like just might be helpful in terms of like having the empathetic friend who just was like, I don't know what to say, but I love you and I'm here for you. And like, let's get you out of the house and like, let's get your mind distracted and let's go have some fun.
Yeah.
Like, that's a friendship. And I understand that you desire that. But again, one, you have to put yourself out there to the extent of like, people can't, like, I guess the point I'm trying to make is this, like, you have to help yourself out a little bit. And even at the risk of being rejected, you have to be a little, it does sound like you have some like trauma you haven't unpacked from childhood, that like there's this 16-year-old girl or 12-year-old girl inside of you that is just like, the idea of finding out someone doesn't want to be friends with you is like emotionally devastating for you. You have to work through that, because now as a 32-year-old woman who's a mom, who's a daughter, who's a wife, you don't really even have time for the type of friendships that you have convinced yourself that you desperately need in your life. And you have to be realistic that at this stage of your life, some friendships will come and go, and they might just serve their purpose. I mean, I just, there's just a lot of I think back in my life, you know, those the two friends I talked about, I've been friends since in middle school. But like when it came to, you know, as a young man, I always like befriended like older women I worked with, or like who are acquaintances in my life, that like they were interested enough in my life, maybe because they were just like living vicariously through me. And I was like, you know, I had girl problems or what I thought, and I thought it was fun. And again, nothing like as in terms of what you're dealing with, but like, I made close friendships with some of these women. And like for periods of time, there were like these people in my life that I, you know, bonded with, and like I would really go for advice, and then we might like go out to lunch like at work, and it might be me and like two other women who had been like, can I pick your brain on something? And they were really empathetic, and they made me feel like they cared. I don't even know what these women are up to in these I haven't talked to them in 15 years.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like they served this purpose in my life. I moved on. I left the job, and you know, like it's like we weren't going to stay in touch. But sometimes our friendships are just that. They're meant to be temporary, but they can still serve a purpose. Some of these conversations I had with these women I was more open and more vulnerable and just more honest than I had ever been with any of my bros. You know what I'm saying? And so they sometimes come and go, and I think you just have to be okay with that and accept that, and not lose sight of, like, you're taking a little bit for granted your family. And maybe that's a product of...
I know 110%. I have hands down the best fit. Like my husband, my sisters, my mom, my dad, like I have a great family. I do not take them for granted at all. I tell them every day I love them. Like every time I talk to them, I let them know how much I care for them.
No, I know.
I just wish that I had somebody like
they're your friends too.
You know?
Sure, but you have to be willing to ask. You know what I'm saying? Like you're a lot like my mom in that regard. You know, it's just like you have to give people a guide a little bit, right? It's a little, I don't know how to say it, but like you're not being fair to yourself by looking at your sister, not knowing that every little intimate detail of the friendships that she has, or how they were made, or who these friends are, and then you're just looking about how they got on a plane and showed up for her, and then comparing yourself to your sister and your friends, and then allowing that to make you to diminish your self-worth. That's just, you're not being fair to yourself. And the only thing that can change in that equation is your perspective. I think you have every right to be disappointed in your friends. I think you have every right to have it make you sad. But you have to communicate with these people. And then you just have to be willing to find out where things stand today with these friendships. Maybe you realize that you just took a little bit of better communication. Or maybe you realize that, like, listen, they don't really have the time to show up the way you wish they would show up. But like, you're only 32. You know, I have made some really close friends, people I call my best friends, men who stood up in my wedding I met after 32. In fact, two guys who stood up in my wedding, 2 out of the 6 are men I met after 35.
I know there's still time to make friends.
There's always time to make friends. You're going to make friends. If you live to your 90, you'll make friends in your 80s. You know what I'm saying? And some of them
Yeah.
might be really special friendships. And I think you just, try to look at it that way. Friends do come and go.
I just don't.
They're
I
not
think,
blood.
yeah. I think also I'm a little scared because losing my nephew, like, now I'm gonna lose these friendships that I did take time to like
I know.
cultivate and be close with. Like now I'm gonna lose them, like possibly. Like that's also scary. So it's just
I
like
know.
it's a very delicate situation that I want to make sure that I handle with care because I love these girls. I would do anything for them.
Well, yeah,
But
so
I
tell them
guess
that,
for me it's like I guess I just want that in return. But not everybody's capable of doing that.
They're
And
not.
I know that.
They're not. Your biggest thing is, and again, that's right. It's just really right. You go such a step. Your problem. It sounds harsh, but
I care too much.
no, you see it as a reflection of your self-worth. Like you see it as a reflection of you. There's a part of you that is like again this 16, 12-year-old girl, whatever, that is like, why don't I have friends with my sister? What's wrong with me? I guess I'm not good enough to have these types of friends. There's something going on inside of you where there's these types of voices. You're not seeing it as, yeah, man, my friend's gonna suck, fuck, man, like what the hell, like how your friends are choosing to handle this is a them problem. Short of you, like, you could have communicated your disappointment a little bit better, and maybe they would have, for all you know, you could have saved yourself a lot of anguish and pain 4 months ago by calling up a friend saying, hey, I really could use you right now. Can we talk? But you don't,
Yeah.
you just sat around the phone and waited for them to show up the same way you showed up, but they're not you. And then you decided to tell yourself, well, if they call, I'm good enough. And if they don't call, there's something wrong with me. And that's
Maybe not necessarily like something wrong with me. It's just like I would just question like why?
Well,
why not show up for me the way that I
again, that's what I'm saying.
the way
So
that I
like
show up, yeah.
why not show up for me, right? That's very different than saying why did they choose to not care?
Yeah. I don't think that's the case deep down.
Sure, but whatever. I don't know the reason, right? But I certainly don't think I don't think your friends, the way you are asking yourself the question is as if you're thinking that your friends were like, you know what? She doesn't deserve it. I'm not going to call.
Yeah.
She's not worth it. I don't like her enough.
Yeah.
That's how you're framing the question. Like that's how you're framing it in your head. And that's why it hurts so bad, because there's a part of you that's, when you're playing it out in your head of how your friends are deciding or not deciding to reach out, you're making it about how they think about you. When you see your sister's friend show up, you're framing it as they love her so much they got on a plane for her.
Yeah. When it comes out of my mind and interpreted that way, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's just like it's not
it's just
realistic or fair. First of all, you don't know why your friends did what her friends did what they did. You don't know why your friends didn't do what they did. And there's a little bit of again, I say this very lightly because you're going through a lot right now, but again, there's a little bit of feeling sorry for yourself. And I'm not talking about the trauma you experienced with your nephew. I'm just talking about this, because it sounds like this whole is a lifelong struggle that you've had. Your relationship with your friends.
It truly is, yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of
I'm lucky my brother married my best friend. Like growing up.
Say that one more time. Say that last part.
I said I'm lucky that my best friend growing up, my brother married her.
So your sister-in-law.
My sister-in-law. We don't talk as much as we used to, but I do know I can call her and talk to her about it, but she's also going through the same thing.
Well, I mean,
she lost her nephew, and
you guys can relate to each other.
She has to take care of. But she and I are emotionally very different. So it's sometimes hard to communicate my emotions. But I'm just talking about friends.
If I were being
specifically.
hard on my mom, which I, is in adulthood, and when you're younger, you are always, your parents can do no wrong. You're very empathetic to your parents. You see no flaws in your parents. As I've gotten
Yeah.
older, like if I'm, sometimes my mom can play the victim card a little bit much at times.
Yeah.
My mom is literally a victim of situations. My mom has been a victim multiple times in her life. My mom has a lot of reasons to justify some of her trauma and issues, right? But that being said, at some point in adulthood, we have to address it head on, so to speak. And at some point in our life, regardless of our traumas, we're faced with situations where we can take I'm going to pity myself and feel sorry for myself, and I'm going to look at the situation all the different ways where it's just like, life's not fair and this sucks. Or you can take more of I don't like this current situation, but I do have a lot going for me. Or you can just take more of it's a glass half full versus the glass half empty mentality. A lot of times my mom can be a little too glass half empty.
Yeah.
And I think she could do herself a favor in being a little glass half full. And
I can try and work on that.
Sure, but I also think you could.
Because I definitely am very more. I do find myself, especially more like in situations that have to do with me. I do feel like I'm more pessimistic versus optimistic. Like,
Yeah.
well, maybe if these two friendship ends, it's just going to make room for like two better friendships to pop up, But
well, and listen, like
I'm afraid of losing again.
What'd you say?
I said, I guess I'm just afraid of like losing again.
And when you say again, what do you mean?
Like losing my nephew, losing.
Okay,
another...
but that's you not being fair to yourself. I mean, it's just, that is not fair to yourself by comparing a loss of a friendship to the loss of your nephew. Like what happened with your nephew was just a devastating tragedy that just fucking sucks, and it's not fair. And like,
it does.
And a friend who, for whatever reason, either like because they just it slipped their mind, or they just have other shit going on in their lives, and you lost touch a little bit, and like it's another friendship that like you wish would flourish that didn't flourish, and it feels like and that happened to you in college. It is not the same thing, and you comparing those two things is just another loss. You're just not being emotionally fair to yourself. Like, I mean, you're comparing a friendship not showing up to the death of your nephew, and that's just not that. Those aren't the two same things. And
no,
but you're telling yourself that they are, and that's just not fair to yourself.
Yeah, because the relationships they were different. They are different. Yeah. Obviously, I can get over.
Also, like
friends.
Friendships you can lose. I said this to a caller a couple weeks ago. I have a friend currently. He's a friend. I mean, like we're friends. I don't talk to him all that much. He lives in Chicago. I live in LA. He's a single man. I have a family. I'm busy. He's busy. Whatever. But we lost touch. We lost touch so much that like I ran into him in Chicago when I moved in Chicago. I ran into him at a bar, and it was like this kind of awkward, like running into an ex-girlfriend. It was like, oh, hey, man, I'm like, how's it going? And then we reconnected. Well, that took like 2.5, 3 years, That was like a 3-year gap where we lost touch. We just weren't seeing things eye to eye. His life was going a different direction, and he had to deal with his shit, and I had to deal with mine. He didn't die. He didn't pass away. He wasn't in my life for 3 years, but then we reconnected. Certainly our friendship's different than it was 15 years ago. 15 years ago, we were out there going out all the time and playing beach volleyball, and we're just like, we had nothing else to worry about but ourselves. But and now like he will come and visit now and then, and we'll catch up from time to time. And when we go to Chicago, we'll go out to dinner and we'll touch base, And another friend who was part of that group, who I met through that other buddy, we lost touch because like he married someone that none of us fucked with. I mean, the person he decided to marry was just kind of like, she was drama. He's just in our fantasy football league. I don't really talk to him anymore. His previous wedding, he got divorced and met someone else new. I stood up in his wedding. We were very close friends. I don't really trust his wife, so I don't deal with this person. I found out a couple days ago that he just had a baby. through other friends,
Oh.
and I text this person. I reached out, and I was like, I haven't reached out to him in a while. I haven't heard back from him. But like, my point is, I don't know. Maybe I never talked to him again. I don't know. But he didn't die. We lost
Yeah.
touch, right? Maybe we'll reconnect in the
Yeah,
future. Life's
for sure.
short, but it's also not that short. It's also long in a way. You know, when it comes to friendships, I think you got some trauma there that you have to unpack. And you're really hard on yourself when it comes to your ability or inability to have certain type of friendships. And you compare way too much to other relationships and things like that. Meanwhile, you have a husband, you have a daughter, you have all these siblings. There is only so much, you only have so much emotional bandwidth. Honestly, I don't think you have time for. And emotionally, you are beating yourself up and being unfair to yourself and judging yourself in ways that I think are just unfair to yourself. And I think
Yeah.
those are the things that you can unpack in therapy. And I think those are the things that a
Yeah.
therapist can help change your perspective so that when you come in and you start venting, I hope that you feel a little bit better after this call,
Yeah.
you know, where you can just talk through things objectively, and a therapist can say, you're being, you know, I'm glad you got it out. That's a good cry.
Yep.
Talk about it. But hey, you're kind of being a dick to yourself.
I've always been that way to myself, so
Well,
makes sense.
we all are a little bit, but like in different reasons. But
So
you need to be a better friend to yourself. Help yourself where you can help yourself out. If you know, just because you tried therapy once and it didn't work isn't an excuse to avoid it, especially in these types of situations where you're dealing with some real trauma and you don't know how to get it out, and you don't want to be a burden to all the other people experiencing trauma. And instead of feeling sorry for yourself that a couple of your friends haven't showed up for you, you know,
Yeah.
the way you want them to, in addition to the fact that you haven't really communicated a little bit of disappointment, like maybe a therapist can help just get that out. Maybe a therapist
Yeah.
can help say, well, I don't know, call the friend. What's the worst that can happen? Nothing can change. Right now, you've painted a picture of these friendships where you've literally called up and said, I have no friends. That's not
Yeah.
true. And so the worst thing that could happen from you calling up these two friends and saying, hey, I'm just, you don't come, you are a terrible friend. You don't come hard, but you just say,
No, I never
I was
would, because I do know
I'm
that
a-
they have had other things going on
I
in their
just
lives.
and instead of saying you weren't there for me, you could just say, I could really use a friend right now. And if you communicate that and they still don't show up, then you're just back to where you already were, that you told yourself, which is you had no friends.
Yeah.
But you're also, that's not
No.
even true. Your brother married your best friend, and sure, you lost a
I
little
know.
touch, but like she's also family now.
I know. I know.
So you're going through this terrible grief and you're not helping yourself out. You're being as someone who was raised Catholic, you have this martyr mentality that is ingrained to you as a Catholic person. And I think
Yeah.
that martyr mentality of suffering through pain and putting it all on yourself, I think is something it's a little childhood trauma just by being raised Catholic that I can relate to. And I think you're just way too comfortable being an emotional martyr rather than like stopping that and stop being a dick to yourself and actually doing something about it, and that's where like, I know my mom was just raised to this, there's a part of how my mom was raised to just, she's taught that like if you suffer through, it's your gateway to heaven, it's like, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I have a lot to think about. Definitely will most likely reach out to them and just let them know. And
yeah,
again, if it ends, it ends.
it probably
I'll just
won't
be
end.
sad.
It probably
But I'm
won't
already
end.
sad.
Yeah.
Like, it's just adding sadness to sadness if it does,
It's not an end. It's just different. And I think you just
Yeah.
have to lighten up the expectations you have of friends. I think other than dealing with this immediate loss of your nephew, if you decide to go into therapy, I would definitely look to unpack why you're so hard on yourself when it comes to friendships. And again, you see as a reflection of your value. I would love for you to unpack that. My mom can have 11 kids and a pretty darn good husband, and she can still feel sorry, and my mom can still feel sorry for herself about friendships. We are all capable of just focusing on what we don't have rather than we have.
Yeah.
And you've gone through a terrible loss, and so I get it, but help yourself.
I will definitely, I will most likely give therapy another shot. Just because you got to.
Yeah.
Um,
And be patient with it. Give it some time to
Yeah.
work. be willing to try more than one therapist. There's a bunch of different
For
ways
sure.
to get things off your chest. It doesn't have to be through therapy. And again, like, I don't know, make
No,
a
I
quick.
have notes. I have so many notes over the last 6 months that I just write out to myself and, just how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'm fine.
So,
I don't like.
yeah.
It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be a sometimes it can be a stranger you open up. I don't know. I always just I made like these acquaintances I made like work friends and they're, I don't know. I kind of enjoyed that. Just like I'm just
Yeah.
gonna dump I'll let these women who like probably won't be in my life in 10 years, I'll unload on them.
Yeah. I've been burned by work friendships before too, so I'm very like
Well, again, burned is all it
I'm
just
more
comes down with your
private.
expectations. Again, like
Yeah.
professionalism aside, like
Yeah.
HR, but like, again, I feel like I'm picking on my mom this episode, but like I grew up thinking my mom was the most selfless person in the world. And she is a very selfless person. But as I grew up, I kind of realized that my mom isn't always doing these things out of selflessness. What my mom is doing is giving a roadmap to people of how she hopes people love her, specifically
Yeah.
around her friends. So when she shows up for her friends, it's not the selfless act. It is a roadmap of how she hopes to be treated by them. And I think you do a lot of that too. Like,
I
not
think
everything
that's
you do
very
is,
fair.
pardon me?
Yeah. I said I think that is a very fair evaluation of who I am without knowing who I am.
Yeah. And I think just being
Um,
honest with that, because like, again, it's not that it's bad, but like it's not this like, cause you have this narrative in your head of like, I'm always showing up for these people. I'm always selfless. And when it's my turn, they don't do that for me. And that I
yeah.
think that's just a very false narrative that you have playing in your head. And that's something you have to work through. And that is just a
Hmm.
narrative. It's just it's a point of view that you have. It's made up.
Yeah.
It's not based off of anything substantive or, there's nuance. The reality
For
is there's a
sure.
lot of nuance to these relationships. You are workshopping these relationships in your head by yourself. You're not communicating with people who are involved in these relationships. You are putting words in their mouth. You're putting intention in their actions without having conversations with them. And then you are attributing a sense of value to yourself, talking by work through it alone in your head. You're much
Yeah.
better off just dealing with the reality of the situation. And there's just a lot of nuance. And again, none of that really has to do with your value. And you have to start seeing the value that you have in your life and what you bring to the table. And, like,
Well,
this is
I can
helpful.
work on that.
Listen, it's
I know life
it's
is
a
always
journey.
a work in progress.
It's a work in progress, but like what I'd love for you is to, instead of spending most of your energy in your head ruminating, finding a bunch of different reasons to convince yourself why you feel less than, I would love for you to get out of your head, stop
Right.
complaining about who are like, you're right. You're just like, well, I don't want to talk to them. I want to talk to them. I don't want to talk to therapists. I
Yeah.
want to talk to my best friend. Why don't you
Yeah.
just take what you can get? And you have a lot,
Yeah. I do.
and just get it out. Your friend, the big thing is your friendships are not your sisters. They're not your
I know.
blood, right? And you just,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, you want that. And I don't, and it comes from somewhere and I don't know why. We don't have time to unpack it, but
Like I said at the beginning, a Pandora's box would have been opened if we go down that road, and you're not a therapist.
yeah, I know. So,
But I do appreciate you taking that time and talking through. Like I was telling my sister's, like just like a third party who's like
yeah.
not so knee deep and involved in the intricacies of everybody.
Well, listen, there's a lot of nosy people out there, people who love to play therapists and people who love to listen to other people's problems. So you
Yeah.
just have to give some of those people a chance. You also have to be willing when you find out some people aren't interested in hearing your problems or listening,
Yeah.
that you don't make it about you and your self-worth.
Yeah. For sure.
You just have to recognize that everyone is a little selfish these days. Everyone's kind of like has their main character syndrome. Everyone has problems. Very few people, despite this terrible tragedy, have what you have in terms of a family.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who truly are
Sure.
alone,
Yeah.
and you're not one of them.
No, I'm definitely not alone.
So
Definitely not
I
allowed.
would really love for you to like tell yourself that and feel that constantly. And when those voices creep up in your head that want to say, I have no friends, you gotta stop that. You gotta shut that down. You can say,
Yeah.
listen, I wish my friendships were a little different than they are now. I'm disappointed in my friends, or, I don't like that my friendships are more casual than fine. As we kind of unpacked, you are literally equating your friendships to the loss of your nephew. And that is so unfair to yourself.
It is, for sure.
All
I guess
right.
I just never looked at it that way
Yeah.
until I said it, you know,
Well,
until it just came out.
that's why
So,
it's good to get it out and talk to someone who
yeah.
is objective, Like with me, it's like, who gives a shit what I say? I'm just,
Oh,
I'm not your
me,
friend.
because I wrote in.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? I'm just like you're right. Like you said, I'm just some guy who like you're curious about my opinion, and you probably heard me give advice to someone else, and you kind of respect it a little bit. But at the end of the day, who gives a shit what I say? Well, I'm not your family. I'm not your friend. You don't have an emotional attachment to me. You can quickly just be like, oh, what the fuck? He is a podcaster and gives a shit. You know what I'm saying? But like sometimes, and that's where a therapist can come in. Or again, you just get out there, and it doesn't have to be a best friend sometimes. Maybe like a support group. I don't know, shit. Like you are dealing with some tragedy. I'm not familiar with support, but there are probably groups out there when it comes to family loss, and maybe you can make some friends through that.
Yeah.
You want to be careful about like trauma bonding and things like that, I guess, but
Yeah.
get out there, make new
For
friends,
sure.
find different
Yeah.
people to unload. Right now, you're taking all this burden and you're being kind of this martyr that you were raised to be. And it's hurting you.
Yeah, I don't really have much else. I agree with a lot of the things that you said, and I definitely will start looking for therapy again and,
What I want you
just
to do
try
the
to make
rest, what
other friendships.
I want you to do the rest of the day is try to like set this topic aside and just, I want you to get off the phone and say, I have friends. I have some good friends. And some of those friends are family. I have a lot of meaningful relationships in my life. There's some relationships in my life that I think need work, but we'll deal with that later. But right now, I want to focus. I want you to just focus on what you do have, and I need you to pick yourself back up, look in the mirror, give yourself a compliment, and take it easy on yourself. And then maybe like later in the week, fine, explore therapy. But right now, I just want you to get out of your head, start changing the narrative in your head about some of these negative thoughts that you have about yourself. And start being more realistic about your situation. And then let those be the repeating thoughts in your head. And check yourself. When you have a negative thought, just say, it's not true. I don't not have friends. But I'm just a little disappointed in some of those friendships. And that's okay. That we can work on that.
Yes, I will try that.
All right.
Never been the affirmation type.
Well,
So
we all have our ways. I don't like, you may not talk about say this out loud, but I know you talk a lot to yourself in your head. So you don't.
I do.
You don't have to say it out loud in the mirror. You don't. It's not like you don't have
I know.
to.
Oh yeah, no.
But when you are ruminating in your head and you have these, you can have more positive conversations with yourself.
I will work with that.
All right.
For sure.
All right. Well, hopefully this was a little helpful. All right.
I appreciate you.
All right. Well, take care. Give us an update as things move along. I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Probably
got to think about that for the rest of the day, but that's how it's been the last 6 months.
I know. And it's still very fresh. Yes. It's, that's another thing to remember. Shit like this takes more than 6 months to heal. So
I don't know how long it's going to take. It just, again, even that is another hour episode of sadness that we don't need to go down.
You deserve a little bit of grace for yourself, and that's what I want you to work on.
Thanks, Nick.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
Good. Thanks.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.